I'm not sure if you saw this. 3 million people did see it, but if you're not on Twitter, you probably didn't. On Friday, an academic at the University of Calgary published this apology on Twitter, where it will remain for 30 days. It says, "I apologize to Ms. Sheila Gunn-Reid for my tweet on June 12, 2019, using the term neo-Nazi. I retract the allegation without reservation and regret any harm I may have caused to Ms. Gunn-Reid or her family. I had no basis for making the allegation against her in particular, and acknowledge that it is false in regards to her." And he also agreed to pay Sheila $1,200. And of course, he has to bear his own legal fees. The guy's name is David Barrett, and he's a minor bureaucrat at the University of Calgary. Apparently, he's the aquatic ecology lab coordinator. So I'm guessing, government worker, environmentalist. I'm guessing he's just a garden variety leftist who was triggered by something Sheila said one day. And instead of ignoring her or responding to her, if you're an expert in ecology, surely you could muster some scientific facts or arguments, right? But for some reason, and I'm assuming that reason is just laziness, and the fact that so many other leftists do the same thing, this guy thought the right thing to do was to call Sheila a neo-Nazi. But that's not true. And it's deeply defamatory. She's not a neo-Nazi. These are what neo-Nazis look like. She's not a neo-Nazi. She's not a Nazi of any variety. I'm starting to wonder if anyone under 40 even knows what an actual Nazi still is. Sheila does not believe in the superiority of the Aryan race. Sheila does not believe in the extermination of Jews, in the creation of a fascist European superstate, a Reich. Sheila does not idolize Adolf Hitler. I think that's a working definition of a neo-Nazi, I think. In fact, Sheila's pretty much the opposite of all those things. Sheila has helped lead 2 trips to Israel, both of which included visits to the National Holocaust Memorial and Museum there called Yad Vashem. And when she was in Poland a couple of years ago, covering the UN Global Warming Conference in that country, she decided to make the trip to a concentration camp at Auschwitz and make a very touching video from there, including where she described how awful it is for leftists to use Holocaust or Nazi imagery to merely insult political rivals. Take a listen.
The concentration camps are a testament to the real, tangible evil that humanity is capable of. And the word Nazi should only be used to describe Nazis, that very real evil.
So yeah, don't call Sheila a Nazi or a neo-Nazi or anything like that. There's a very specific meaning. It's not a generic insult like calling someone an idiot or even the anti-female slur, calling someone a bitch. Those are mean words, but they're obviously just generic insults, and they're not really defamatory. They're more just insults. They don't contain a very specific factual meaning. If you are a Nazi, that means something very specific. And it's not a matter of opinion if you're a Nazi. It's either true or false. And these days, it means something especially terrible again. And it also has immediate real-world consequences. People are fired for that accusation. Obviously, I know it's a lie. So I wouldn't fire Sheila. She's not going to be deplatformed by me for that lie, but she could be deplatformed in other ways on social media. For example, she could be banned from renting facilities, either at the Rebel or even in her own life. She could be physically attacked, since the left has this motto, punch a Nazi, but of course they don't really know what a Nazi is other than someone they really don't like, someone they want to punch. So it's universal on the left. You can do violence against someone if you simply call them the word Nazi first.
We will hunt monsters. And when we are at a loss amidst the hypocrisy and the casual violence of certain individuals and institutions, we will, as per Chief Jim Hopper, punch some people in the face when they seek to destroy the meek and the disenfranchised and the marginalized.
Yeah, that's a mob right there. And we're not going to let that defamation take root against our people. We already have some leftist thugs who hit our reporters, including Sheila, this guy here, Dion Buse. We're just not going to let it happen again. So we sued David Barrett. Well, first, actually, we sent him what's called a libel notice, which is sort of a warning, a serious warning. And we served it on him with a process server, a warning. And he ignored it. He did nothing. I think he either thought we weren't serious, or maybe he just froze and didn't know what to do. Or maybe he thought if he just hid under the bed, it would all go away. He didn't correct anything. And my theory here is that it's because he made the defamatory comment, as a lot of people do online, with a feeling of at least partial anonymity, like he was part of a larger mob. There's that mob psychology that can take over. I remember a few years back, remember when there was a riot in Vancouver after the Stanley Cup, if I recall? And it was crowded on the streets, and people blended in with each other, and they lost their individual identity, and like a herd of gazelles or something, they just followed everyone else. And they rioted. You see this? They smashed and they looted shops. And I remember one case, I did a show about this on Sun News. One girl went into a smashed clothing store and looted it. And I remember afterwards when she was identified and arrested, she said she didn't even want what she took. It wasn't even her size, it wasn't to her taste, but everyone was just in this mania, and she lost her mind for that moment, and so she just stole like everyone else. I think she was telling the truth. I don't think, by the way, that that's an excuse. Not at all. It's animalistic, isn't it? It suggests that we are not in control of ourselves. We're like gazelles in a herd or birds in a flock. We're just following. That is a dehumanizing defense to say, I lost control. No, you didn't. The answer is not to give in. The answer is to defy the mob, to think for yourself, to apply your own morality, even if the world around you is going mad. But I can see how it could happen. You think that for a moment you are anonymous, you are hidden, you are part of a larger ant colony, just one ant amongst thousands, and what you do isn't your own will, and it doesn't matter anyway, since that shirt's going to be stolen by someone else in about 30 seconds if you don't take it. I think that mob mindset takes root on Twitter. And we were pulling this David Barrett out of his anonymity, pulling him out of the herd and saying, we know your name, we know who you are, we know where you live and where you work, and we are holding you personally accountable. And now we invite you to come to court and explain to a judge why you think Sheila Gunn Reid, the Philo-Semite, is a Nazi, and why you said that to thousands of people. And I think he sort of panicked at first. He hoped it would just go away if he hid under the bed, but we didn't go away. So he didn't even do what we asked him to do freely. So we only sued him after he ignored the libel notice. Then he started to pay attention, and by that point we insisted on a settlement, the apology, the correction, symbolic $1,200 payment to Sheila. Sheila wrote a short tweet about this news. You can see it here. Dave called me a neo-Nazi on Twitter. That tweet cost Dave $1,200 in damages to me, plus his pinned apology tweet, plus his own legal fees. He wanted our agreement to be confidential. It is not. Don't be a Dave. That's a good point. Barrett wanted to keep it a secret that he had to pay Sheila, but we insisted that it be public because we want to deter other people from doing the same thing. I mean, in the grand scale of things, $1,200 isn't a huge amount of money. He probably spent more than that on his own lawyer. But the whole point is deterrence. I'm pretty sure David Barrett will personally not smear Sheila again anytime soon. Or if he takes a run at her, he'll be factually accurate. But it's an important lesson to everyone else in the world. Feel free to take a run at Rebel News. Feel free to take a run at our people. There's lots to criticize. We'd love a debate, actually. But don't call us Nazis, or it'll cost you $1,200 for a tweet. When you look at it that way, it's a lot of money. Anyway, Sheila sent me the traffic analytics of her tweet. And you see that number in the middle there? This is as of yesterday, so it's actually higher now. As of yesterday, more than 3 million people had read that one tweet alone. It's that part there that says impressions, times people saw this tweet on Twitter. Just her one tweet. Now, she wrote several tweets about this. So did I. David Barrett's own apology was probably seen 500,000 times. I believe that the case of Sheila Gunn Reid versus David Barrett has been seen by at least 5 million people, maybe as many as 10 million people. I mean, we know 3 million saw that one tweet alone. I'm astonished by these numbers. I mean, Sheila's 3 million was just 48 hours worth. It's incredible. For comparison, I don't know if you remember, I once had a tweet retweeted by Donald Trump himself, the president, and that wasn't even seen 2 million times. So what's going on here? I mean, it's pretty common for a lefty to call a conservative a Nazi. I'm sorry to say it's their go-to insult. It's a joke, but it's sad. There's even memes about it. Everyone I don't like is Hitler. It's sad because, first of all, it diminishes what Hitler and the Nazis really were. It takes away from the gravity of actual Nazis to call anyone you don't like a Nazi. And of course, it tarnishes Sheila, who is actually a supporter of Jews, who loves Jews. So why did 5-10 million people watch this? And it's so funny because Barrett could have just simply apologized and corrected when we first wrote to him, and it would have been no big deal. He would have saved his money and the humiliation of being a national embarrassment. Well, it's because leftists calling conservatives Nazis, that's not rare, that's common. But a conservative fighting back, well, that is rare indeed. That's what's amazing here. That's what's news here. Someone who isn't just going to take it anymore. It's part of our larger stop deplatforming strategy. I told you about our lawsuit the other day to sue the leftists who bullied the theater owner in Alberta to cancel 2 book signings we had to rip up our contract. I think it's the same thing. The professor, this professor here, Nancy Lavelle at U of Alberta, like David Barrett at U of Calgary, should have known better. I mean, if she disagrees with us, she should be able to use her words. She's a professor. She's obviously smart. So why not debate us or ignore us or have a counter event? But to demand a theater cancel a book signing, I bet she hadn't even read my book. Why was she against it? I'm not going to call her a Nazi, but that actually is one of the things Nazis did. They burned books they disagreed with. That's a Nazi move. I'm 100% sure that Nancy Lavelle was like David Barrett, thought she was anonymous or sort of anonymous, was just following the herd, wasn't really thinking. I'm sure she probably thinks this is fake or somehow not serious. I'll let you know, but I can assure you inducing breach of contract is a real thing, and we're suing her for it and everyone else who did the same, and we're suing for defamation too. I think they used the word Nazi as well. Let me give you a preliminary report on how that lawsuit is going. Those 2 book signings last month were canceled, you might remember. But just last week, we had 2 great town hall meetings in Alberta. This is the one from Edmonton, and we had another one in Calgary. And so same cities as the book signings, right? This was about Western alienation, not my book. But we advertised this event in the exact same way we advertised the book signings. A website, emails, videos, Twitter. I literally did not see a single person trying to get these latest 2 events canceled. Not one tweet even. And I didn't hear a single word from either hotel in Calgary or Edmonton that they had been pressured to cancel us. It just didn't happen. Now, maybe there's some other explanation for why no one tried to deplatform us, but I think it's cause and effect. I think it's because of our lawsuit. I mean, the deplatformers were successful just last month. They won, right? They had us banned. They had us run out of town. Why wouldn't they be enthused, encouraged, emboldened from that victory? Why wouldn't they try and do it to us again, especially so soon thereafter? Like I say, it's a very good experiment because so many of the variables are the same. Same cities, same advertising, same type of event, just barely 1 month later. But this time it was quiet as crickets. I believe that our Stop Deplatforming lawsuit has scared them off from doing it again. I truly believe that has what stopped the deplatforming already. We haven't even gone to court yet. This is good. Let the leftists ignore us, or better yet, debate us, or hold contrary events of their own, but stop inducing people to breach contracts with us. And I believe that Sheila's settlement against David Barrett will do the same. Do you want to criticize us? Great. I like that. That's called a debate. I can give you 10 legitimate criticisms against us, our ideas, our company, The Rebel, against me personally. Heck, I might even invite you on the show. If you can express criticism of me and our ideas articulately enough, come on the show. Let's have an argy-bargy. Let's get back to that, where we used to debate each other, not cancel events and call each other Nazis. And by the way, it's not even a two-way street. I've never in my life ever heard of conservatives deplatforming a leftist. Have you? Never even once. Not once in my life have I heard of a conservative physically attacking a liberal, especially a liberal reporter, in the manner that each one of these videos here shows our reporters being attacked in some way. I think every single one of our reporters that we've had has been attacked in some way by the left. I've never seen it the other way around. This guy here, by the way, it's still continuing. This is the manager of the Radisson Toronto East, attacked both David Menzies and our cameraman, Efren. So we're suing them for assault. We offered them a very easy settlement, including just if they said sorry, but they refused to. I'd rather settle, but they won't. I think a judge has to tell them they can't hit people, so we're going to court. And I think we have to do this. We have other lawsuits afoot as well, not because we want to sue. In fact, sort of the opposite. I'd rather spend all these hundreds of thousands of dollars when you add it up. I'd rather spend it on more reporters, actually. But I think we have to do this. We have to stop these people from demonizing us as Nazis. We have to stop them from physically attacking our reporters and cameramen. We had to go to court when Justin Trudeau's hand-picked elections commission banned us from the elections to be. I think we just have to, because no one else is going to stand up for us, so we're going to keep doing it. I think I've come to terms with that. After nearly 5 years, we've had no help from the people who should be helping, from the Canadian Civil Liberties Association and the Canadian Association of Journalists, or the Canadian Journalists for Free Expression, or for PEN Canada, or from Amnesty International, or any of these groups, Reporters Without Borders, none of them. Okay, fine. So we'll do it ourselves, that's fine. Rebel News does journalism, you bet we do. And we also fight to protect journalism, whether you're calling us Nazis, deplatforming us, or punching us. Fair enough. We'll fight. I think it's one of the reasons people like us, because we put our money where our mouth is. We fight back. We don't bend the knee. And we're sick of turning the other cheek. And the fact that 5 or 10 million people read Sheila's news tells me there's an awful lot of Canadians and Americans and Brits and Australians too who want our team to finally take the gloves off and not just turn the other cheek every time. That's an excerpt from the Ezra Levant Show, which is a show I do every day. I do a monologue, interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. But you've got to subscribe to it, which you can do at premium.rebelnews.com.